everybody, and welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distanced, but technically connected. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco Commercial Sealants and Waterproofing, and I am joined back here in Cleveland, Ohio, by my co-host.
And I'm Paul Hugenboom, the President of Tremco Construction Products Group, Marcy, a fine collection of companies, brands, products, systems all over the world.
And lots of people, lots of people.
6,000.
Very good. As always, we're very excited to be able to sit here in front of all of you. I did miss being with you last week, but I was on the road, so we did have.
I missed you as well.
We had a good sports venue event. If you didn't catch it, I'm going to walk us through our journey that we've taken in the last couple of weeks, and we are going into the healthcare arena next month. So for Thanksgiving month.
Healthcare arenas or?
Healthcare facilities. Yes.
Sorry.
So. But we wanted to be able to give thanks to our healthcare workers, and we thought it would be appropriate to then also talk about our projects related to the healthcare industry. Yep. So excited about that and working on our guests and our information on that. So keep all those ideas coming. As always, it's very much appreciated. So Paul, how have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Other than we saw our first snowflakes today in Cleveland.
Yeah. It was a chilly day today.
So I'm not ready for that.
I'm not either. To kick us off today, I thought it would be fun to do a poll. I've been asking about sports venues, I've been asking about sports teams, but I thought I'd get a little more personal today and ask everybody how long they've been in the industry. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up one of today's polls. We have two today. And I'm going to ask everybody how long you have been in the industry. So if you go ahead and answer that for us, less than 5 years, between 5 and 15, or greater than 15. While you all are voting for us right now, Paul, how long have you been in this industry?
I'm going to say 21.
21, okay.
Very good.
I just celebrated, if you look on LinkedIn, it says I just celebrated my 13th year, but I started with Tremco in 1995. Then I left for 10 years.
We'll go with 25.
I like to say 15, but I was in around the industry those 10 years I was gone.
Even when you weren't here.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're still with us.
I was still with you in one way or another. That's for sure. So it looks like we've got quite a few people finished with their polls. We'll go ahead and share it with everybody. So got a good amount here. That were less than 5. We got 21% between 5 and 15, and then 60%, which is greater than 15. It's interesting, and I always like to talk about how long people have been in the industry, because I feel like it's a unique set of skill sets we achieve working in this industry. I know a lot about the building. I don't know where I would take that to if I left this industry.
Well, so don't leave.
That's right. I don't want to leave. I like it too much. I always joke I loved watching This Old House as a kid, so it just seems to be something that's definitely of interest to me.
So every episode I think is fantastic. Yeah. Either because I totally agree with what they did, or I feel they should have used one or more of our products.
They have in a couple episodes.
Oh, they've had some great, like one. I mean, the other day I was watching and a new Dora project came up. I was like, hey, that's awesome.
It's great. It's great. It's funny because even like on a TV show, occasionally you might see something in the background going on a project, and I'm always looking for the Tremco can that might be sitting on that job site. So very interesting. So as always, we have some slides we'd like to share with all of you. So we will go ahead and do that here. Taking me longer than normal. We got it. Okay. So as I mentioned, we are going through sports arenas this month, in the month of October, and I wanted to just kind of retrace our journey. So let's take a little road trip review of where we've been in the month of October. So we started off just south of where Paul and I are sitting in Cleveland, Ohio.
We forgot to see how they're all doing in their rankings.
We should have done that. That would have been great.
These guys are probably undefeated, right? They're perennial top in the state.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. This was a great one, right? Being able to go there, drive it. We're somewhat limited in where we're headed these days, so it was nice to be able to get in the car and drive down to Madison, Ohio. It was great to be a part of of this great historic football arena in person and to be there with a lot of our colleagues. And it represented a lot of products, you know, from Euclid, from Carboline, from Rust-Oleum, and of course from Tremco, our roofing materials, our coating materials, our sealants. So it was a great project to be on, and of course, serviced by WTI.
Yeah, and really, you know, the owner spoke to how important it was to him and the school to really have that one source.
Exactly.
Which I think to the owner was really unexpected, that there really was one party that could take complete ownership.
Absolutely. And you're going to see as we go through these slides and with our guests today that there is even more that we can offer beyond the brands you're seeing here. And that turnkey approach, as you mentioned, he was so happy that everything he needed was on one flash drive because it was from one company.
Yep.
So it was great. Then we headed west to South Bend, Indiana, to check out the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It was pretty cool to be able to check out this restoration of their historic stadium.
Their record, we know, it's undefeated.
Yeah. And it was very interesting having conversations with the individuals here because there was a lot going on underneath the stadium, which you might not have been aware of. So the expansion joints were so critical on this job, and everyone was so friendly and open and said, whenever we're in South Bend, we can get a tour of it. So
really, all that seating is a roof.
Yeah.
Essentially to everything below.
Exactly.
The little factoid, Marcy, I thought was most interesting is everybody who worked on it had to sign a, I guess some sort of a legal document saying you couldn't go on the field.
Yeah. Which was very interesting. And I think they let them at the end. So if you haven't checked out that episode.
So I guess if you have a successful project,
and then they open it up.
You take your final picture on the field.
Exactly. But they all did get to go on that. So that was very interesting. Then we took a trip with Rust-Oleum, got to check out a lot of their work. I love the fun fact of Little John Coliseum.
Yeah.
Because Paul played there.
Many years ago.
Against Larry Nance.
Yeah, and I guess the fun factoid we learned on there was they changed the whole seating orientation of the court. I guess it went from either east-west to north-south.
Yeah, that's what you say. It looks so different.
If you walk in the court, well, they'll turn the court.
It's pretty interesting there. And of course, I let everyone know my favorite ballpark was the Washington Nationals. And we had some fun trivia there with that one. And then we also talked about our BB&T ballpark in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we had a lot of Tremco products on this one. And a fun fact we found out during the broadcast was that Drive It was on it too. So that was we were on there.
I didn't even know that came in.
Yep, it came in
during our
broadcast. So yeah, so we love it when you guys send in information, ask us questions. We definitely want this to be interactive. Love the fact that everyone's tuning in regularly, and some of our customers are joining it on our Tremco Sealants YouTube. You can sign up for Tremco Live, and it'll just send you the new ones, so that you're alerted when there's a new one if you want to check those out as well, if you aren't able to catch us live. And then last week, without Paul, we took a tour through Quicken Loans and got to see that amazing roof restoration project, and also Ford Field. Two of the most iconic roofs in their respective cities. Exactly.
And, I'm glad that we're on.
Yeah. There was some pretty interesting challenges that they went through there, just in terms of getting products up, but also being able to solve it, the cleaning aspect of it, by using the roof tech process of recapturing that water, using 1/3 less water than you normally would if you were cleaning that surface.
Yeah, and then not having any runoff into the stormwater system. Yeah. And in both those cities, Cleveland and Detroit, you're in the Great Lakes watershed. And so to be able to do full water capture and keep it out of the watershed and then just have it go into the potable sewer system is a huge selling point.
And for those of you at Ford Field, I'm going to make it there one day. I was going to head out, but we had a really rainy day. Okay. You climb a 100-foot ladder to get up on the roof to check it out, and it's 300 square feet of space, more than 300,000 square feet of space.
I thought you meant go to a Lions game.
Oh, well, I would do that too.
Yeah, Tom Cummings is the man to reach out to.
I will reach out to Tom for sure. So that was pretty interesting. And I know a shout out to Jim Getson, because I know he climbed that ladder many times, and Lee Morgan, I heard you did too. So. Lee's our behind the scenes guy today. So pretty interesting, large projects. and taken us all around to so many different applications, so many different places. And I did want to mention just once again, Nullifier, because there's so many different arenas and that we represent all over the world, as you always like to mention when we kick this program off. So
yeah, Nullifier, these are just 3 very iconic projects for them, but on many, many stadiums to protect, in particular, protect the steel from fire.
So lots of different ways that we can contribute and participate in all these different kinds of sports venues. And it brings us up to Stonehard and welcoming our guest today, which is Scott Kranick from Stonehard. So Scott, welcome to Tremco Live.
Hi, Marcy. Hi, Paul. How are you guys today?
We are good.
Great. We're thrilled to have you, Scott.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be here. It's always great to share a little bit about these kinds of venues and some of the success that, just watching what you guys have already covered and some of the things that maybe we can add to it. So pretty exciting stuff.
So Scott, welcome to the Tremco Live. In the beginning, we did a poll to find out how long people have been in this industry. And as a panelist, you couldn't answer. So can you answer for me? How long have you been in this industry?
Yeah, so it's a good story. My whole working life career has been with Stonehard. So I'm in my 37th year. I'm the executive vice president for the company. I work out of Atlanta. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I've worked in 10 different capacities or jobs with Stonehard. So I've been in the industry for quite a long time.
Any specific fun fact that got you to Stonehard with this industry?
Mark, it was just I had college loans to pay, and I was looking for a job, and I landed a job, and I found a career. So it's been wonderful. Yeah, really, really good.
That's great. I know earlier today we were talking a little bit about Stonehard and when they became part of the RPM family. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Stonehard as well?
Sure. So Stonehard's the world's leading manufacturer and installer of overlayments to concrete. And so, I think when most people think about Stonehard, they think about back of house applications, in a lot of different markets. We sell into 20 different markets, right? We have a break between our commercial and our industrial markets. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the commercial side of the business and how important it is to us and some really iconic venues that we've done work in. But I think the thing that sets us apart, like Tremco, and Paul alluded to it earlier, is the turnkey aspect. We're not just a manufacturer, we're a manufacturer and an installer. And our teams, our TMs, our salespeople, and our construction management teams together work really closely to execute once a project has been secured. And it's extremely critical to not only the designers who are designing these facilities, but the end users, the people that are going to be living with them for years to come. So. Yeah.
I know we've got a few we want to talk about specifically, so I'm going to get those slides back up here on screen. And
Sure.
I know we're going to tease everybody with this picture here of Madison Square Garden, but we're going to leave that for last. So we're going to take a little journey here. We mentioned Little John Arena or Coliseum already, but we've got here where Stonehard worked on this project. Tell us a little bit about this one.
So what's really cool, I think, from the slides you're going to see today from us is that you're going to see both what we call front of house or more aesthetically designed floors versus some of the back of the house stuff that we've done. And the cool part is that, we can do both, and we have brands to do that, whether it's our Liquid Elements, Expanco, or our Stonehard brand to really be able to supply the needs. And this is actually an interview room at Clemson. You can see the floor is purple, so it was designed to really match their colors, one of their colors anyway. It's Sally Rice, who heads up our Liquid Elements program, actually worked with the Nike branding group to develop the specification for it. We installed this. This is one of in our smooth line. It's a very decorative, seamless floor. Really, really cool. It was installed a couple years back, and our what we go around telling people now is right after we installed this, Clemson won the national title back in 2018. So there's a tie to putting Stonehard floors in and perhaps winning a national title.
I like that.
But a really cool looking floor, beautiful, very design oriented, focused the reasons for the floor selections here can be very different than in some of the other aspects of an arena. But that's Clemson.
Right. Making it sounds like you have that variability, right, to be able to provide the right flooring system for the performance needs for that specific area.
We really do, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. You know, these people that own these facilities, they want them to be special. They want to really cater to the fan. They want it to look different, be different, really all about fan experience, and I think that's an important part of it. So we're able to do that. Now we're in my hometown. I've actually lived in Atlanta since '85. The Braves are my team. We were able to do here a really nice renovation project. You see the steps, so the steps were really designed, really again, a more of an aesthetic approach, but most of the work at this stadium was back of house, locker rooms, kitchens, concessions, waterproofing areas. It was about $1 million project for us. We worked really closely with Populous, a great design firm out of Kansas City, did all the spec work. And then we worked really closely with Brassfield and Gorey, who we have great partnerships with. And we were fortunate enough to install this work. And it was a really successful project. So, you know, when you think of concessions and kitchens, very different than what you see at Clemson. And I think that's the play, right? You gotta, there's a lots of opportunities here.
Just wanted to do a shout out. You mentioned Populous. We do have some that registered for the event today. So we want to say hi and welcome to Tremco Live. So they may not have realized you were going to speak about them today, but they are joining us and were registered. So it's great that you were able to bring them up. And thanks. Thank you to them for attending.
Fantastic firm. Yep.
We've got, how about this one? We've got the Nashville Predators.
So this one's, you know, this is really where our local sales guy, Brian Gates, was working directly with the arena itself and had done a bunch of work in there. There was a competitive product that had been installed, and then they were using these stickers to, you know, for the Predators and whatnot. And anyway, long story short, we ended up using one of our liquid element systems. It's called Reflect, and we were able to install it in the Lexus Lounge. And I actually had an opportunity a couple years ago. My wife and I went to Nashville to see Garth Brooks, and I was in the Lexus Lounge. So I was able to see it after a couple years of being installed, and it's a phenomenal looking product. It's holding up really well. They're really well pleased. And we've done, you know, quite a bit of work with them in there since then. And, you know, it's just, again, another plug to where when you're calling on the end user, getting to the people that are having to make decisions about these arenas, it's just a really strong thing, a strong play for Stonehard or Tremco or any of our companies, because we have solutions for these spaces.
Well, it's so great to go back out there and take a look at them, you know, years later and see that. So we always love to do that, and it was great that you were able to do that as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, Scott, you talk about that it really wears well, right? And I think the long life of all our systems, but in particular in the case of Stonehard, that's you know, it's not easy to appreciate at the beginning, right? But it is as each year goes by.
No, because you do see, Paul, some stadiums where you know, they choose to use some thinner milk coatings, and you understand why. Sometimes there's budgetary constraints and things, but they tend not to last over a long period of time. So, you know, we really try to focus on, you know, long-term solutions that are going to be there, that we can support and that we can maintain with them. And so we've had some really good success in being able to do that.
And I think they're easy to maintain, Scott. That's another important point. A lot of these venues now are used up to 300 days in the year, right? They used to be driven around the team schedule, but they've now almost become 365-day-a-year type operations. So the ability to get in and shut them down and maintain them is not what it used to be.
Yep, exactly. Jim Getson mentioned that for Ford Field. He was amazed at how many different activities are occurring on a regular basis, you know, in that stadium. So.
And I'll talk about that here in a couple slides on what we did in Cleveland, because that very thing is one of the reasons they love us there. So, but this is a great floor. This is, again, more front of house, more aesthetics, but a really great design. So when you think of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, home to the Nets, right? This facility was built in 2012. And this was interesting. We picked this one because our territory manager Dan Atwater. His dad was a Tremco guy for many years. And I don't know, Paul, if you remember the name Atwater, but I haven't had a chance to meet his father, but Dan works for us, and he cold called these guys and made a call, dropped off a brochure, got an appointment, started doing some work. And, you know, we did some, replaced some carpet in a lunch break area, and then it turned into the Jack Daniel's Experience Lounge with some Expanco core product. And then we've done, you know, this is the Reflect, again, liquid elements, decorative looking system, both in the VIP lounge and in the Nets locker room. So it's been a great reference for us as well here.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but usually we've got a lot of like our products being used on our own homes, right? Like I have to imagine this is stuff that I want in my basement, right? I want it in my garage.
So we want to know what's in Scott's finished basement.
Yes.
This is not in my finished basement. I do not have any liquid elements in my home, although I would love to have this floor. And this is a beautiful floor. This really looks pretty cool, and it's a great looking system. So
I think, you know, Scott, I've followed Liquid Elements since it was brought, you know, to Stonehard.
Yeah,
it's an incredible product, right? In terms of its I was going to say design limitations. There really are none, right?
no, you know, and Paul, I think it's such a creative. It's such a the interior design world are the ones that kind of bring this forward, and because of the different looks that you can get, the different color combinations, you know, it's such an artistic floor that I think it sells a little differently in the market than some of the traditional back of house stuff that we have. And you really have to bring a focus to the interior design side. But once they see it and they start to look at some of the beautiful qualities of the floor, and then not just the high design, but the performance that goes with it, you know, you start to see some eyes opening, and, you know, I think that's where we've been successful here.
Scott, what do you do when there are really no limits on what you could do with something design-wise, right? How do you try to somehow guide an owner through a decision process?
Well, it's a great question. You know, typically we're meeting with interiors people, and they generally have a pretty good feel for what they're trying to accomplish, you know, from, you know, what's the message they're trying to send to that customer? What's the experience they want people to have when they come into the building? What are the color combinations they're working with? And then we start to kind of work with them to show them different options based on that would say, okay, you know, you got to consider durability for sure, but it's really the last piece of the puzzle, right? They're much more interested in the design aspects of the floor, the functionality of the floor, the seamless look of the floor. Those are the things that really sell. And then the other pieces just sort of fall into place. So it's a really close working relationship between our architectural design teams and the interiors people that make a lot of these selections, especially for liquid elements.
Beautiful. Well, I bet if we did a poll at how many people would be willing to offer up their homes as field trials when you're coming out with something new, we get a lot.
Put Marcy in the field trial program.
We got you down. We got you down, Marcy.
Perfect. Thank you. And of course, not too far from where Paul and I are sitting.
Ah, that looks familiar.
That looks familiar. None of us got to go in and be there this year, but
sadly,
yes.
So our local TM, Arnie Rochester, has been with us a long time. Arnie has developed a fantastic relationship with the end user here, the owners of the Progressive Field. And, you know, we've done quite a lot of work over the years. We've actually installed some of the acrylic, the MMA product here that you see, some waterproofing and aspartic urethanes. But this is another example. You know, I was talking to Arnie earlier, and one of the things that he said was that the owner absolutely loves it because they can come up here, pressure wash these areas, just really clean them at a high level because that's what they need. Lots of traffic, lots of people walking through these spaces. And then, you know, once that thing looks clean, you don't see any degradation, you don't see any peeling. You know, it's a trowel system, it's a mortar, and it's got, you know, you've got the ability here to put a long durable system, long-term system in place. And that's one of the features and one of the things that they love about what we did there. There's also some waterproofing here. So I know that they had some leaking through, I think, maybe the visitors' dugout, and so they wanted to make sure they took care of the opposing pitchers, and they didn't want them being leaked on while they were waiting to get into the game. So they waterproofed over top of that some of the dugouts here. So again, completely different application than Barclays Center or Clemson's, ESPN interview room, but again, just shows you some of the versatility in the products.
Well, it's so great. Being in this industry, we're always looking around at different things, and I know the durability is something we're always questioning with products. So it definitely sounds like this is a winner from that perspective.
Yeah, and as Scott mentioned, that they can aggressively clean it, and that it withstands that repeatedly for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, not to be silly, but when I bought my brand new car, my daughter spilled ketchup into the handle, like the where you close the door, and it took a very aggressive cleaning for me to get that ketchup out. So, I mean, I can't imagine what they're cleaning off of this on a regular basis with the amount of people that are coming through there. So
that's right. That's right.
And of course, our feature of today is Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the iconic stadium of the arena of Madison Square Garden. And great story here. Again, our local teams, we have a great team in New York City, and Lloyd Nolan's our local guy there. And he'd been calling on Madison Square Garden and doing a lot of work there. And then they had a $1.1 billion, basically renovation. We worked with Turner Construction. There was an architect, Brisbane Brook Baton Architects out of Toronto, that did the design work. And what they did here is, you see a lot of different areas, right? But the stadium, the picture where you see the blue seats and the sort of the yellowish looking floor, that's an elastomeric polyurethane sort of hybrid system that we installed. So what they did is, over the course of 4, they call them dark summers, basically when the stadium is shut down and there's no sporting events for the Rangers or the Knicks, they basically would come out, tear out sections of the seats. We would prep all the concrete, and this is a spray applied product. So this is a spray applied system that went over the seats, and then it's got a aliphatic urethane over the top to protect it. And just a phenomenal opportunity, great project, still holding up phenomenally well. But it took over, I guess, it was about a $3.5 million job. And it took us over the course of, I think, 4 summers to complete it and to finish it. And then along with it, we installed other products in the bathrooms, the mechanical spaces for waterproofing. You can see the Stone Shield HRI and the towers. They call them the escalator towers. And then, of course, in the kitchens, the urethane products in the kitchens and concession areas, which are really needed for what goes on in those operations, for handling thermal shock and hot water washdowns and those kinds of things. So what a phenomenal project for us, and a great testimony to our relationship with them. And again, it shows a lot of the versatility and our ability to not just sell a product, but represent it on the turnkey side of it over a long period of time, right? So it wasn't a quick turnaround job. It was a job that went on for quite a while, and one we're really proud of and we're thankful for. So
Scott, the Knicks are still awaiting your performance enhancement guarantee.
Paul, I don't know if I can help them. I'm still trying to work with our Atlanta teams on performance enhancement. It's tough. It's tough being a fan, though, when your teams are struggling. So I can relate.
Help the Braves, yeah. The Indians did well. Many of his teams did well. But and I know it's great for the NBA when the Knicks do well in general. So we'll have our fingers crossed that perhaps this season begins an uptick.
Yeah, that'll be great.
So Paul, do you have a personal connection to Madison Square Garden?
I do. My brother-in-law is a very high-ranking executive with the parent of Madison Square Garden, and has an office there. So It was
How
very
about-
nice several years ago, and gave my wife and our nieces and nephews a tour of the garden and look behind the scenes. So I'll give you a very small factoid. So I have a niece who's a dentist. They have a dentist chair in the Rangers locker room. So ready to do work if
Oh, wow.
something gets loose
Yeah.
during the mayhem of a hockey game.
Makes sense, I guess, right?
So that was her big takeaway. Oh my God, there's a dentist chair.
I wonder, I'm assuming there's one at every, look,
I don't
wonder,
know.
for every team?
I don't know, but there's one there. So
Paul, do they call your niece to perform that work when they have them in the chair?
they have not, but that would be a dream job for my niece. So maybe Scott, you and I can go to work on that.
I have a simpler request. My sister is probably the biggest Indians fan, Cleveland Indians fan. We were trying to remember how long ago she became a fan. And oh my gosh, I could get her behind the scenes at the Indians.
Marcy, all you got to do is let me know. I'll work with our guy Arnie locally, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
That would be awesome. That would be great. So, well, thank you for helping us along the journey as we come to a close with our sports venue month. This was a great way to come to a close, showing all the different systems that we have under RPM for these types of venues.
Yeah, and I liked ending with the garden because Scott, I don't know about you, but I think the garden's got to be in the pantheon, right? Top 5 maybe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stadiums ever in the world, I think. I don't know.
I think so.
I agree. I agree 100%. It's just iconic. Everybody can relate to Madison Square Garden, I think, for one reason or another. And right there in the heart of New York City, it's just a phenomenal venue.
Yeah, it was great to see him to do such a big renovation, right? Because so many cities make a decision to tear down and replace, and they really dug in and said, no, this is part of our culture and our history, and we're going to make it modern.
Were you able to be out on this site during
I was, yeah. I saw it a little bit during construction, and then I walked it after. So I have been to the site. It's been a few years since I've been there, but I've been on the site. Yeah. So I've been in Truist. I haven't been in Cleveland. I've been in Cleveland Stadium. I don't think I was there when they were doing the work. And I've been to the Nashville Predators arena. I haven't seen Clemson, but I think the others and I haven't seen the Barclays Center, but personally, but all good stuff.
A few segments ago, I said how my family and I are making it to all the ballparks, the baseball places. And we went to the Braves when it was the older stadium. So the rule is, the new stadium comes about, you have to go to the new one. So
I think Scott might be able to.
Yeah,
might be able to help you out.
Marcy. It used to be in the heart of Atlanta, back in Fulton County Stadium, and then they moved, right? So that was a big thing, right? That was probably the most secretive thing I've ever seen in sports. They announced they were moving out of Atlanta to Cobb County overnight, and it shocked everybody. So they moved out of Fulton County to Cobb County. That's where they're at now. So it's pretty cool. And the park is really great. There's condos and there's homes, and they call it the Battery. And the Battery has restaurants and lounges, and they really built up the area there. So it's a really nice ballpark.
It's great. Well, I'm hopefully we'll talk before then, but I'll reach out come springtime for sure.
All right, so you get baseball tickets,
Yeah.
the flooring programs.
Field trials, we're all set.
This has been a great interview.
It has.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on our Tremco Live broadcast. Really appreciate you being a part of it.
No, you're welcome, Marcy. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for inviting us. We always like to tell our story. If there's anything else we can do, I think there's some ways, I didn't mention it, there's some stadium trade organizations that I think, Paul, between us, we could probably get a part of and really help our positioning, because so many times we're chasing individual projects, but I think there's a really a bigger play. So we can circle back on that.
To talk to Paul about just that, I'm prepared. So we'll have a chat and reach out to you.
Scott, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank
bye
you
now.
everybody, for joining us. We have one quick poll we want to share with you to kind of close off today. So I'll get that up here just so we know what kind of follow-up you might be interested in. So what we've got up here now as our poll is, Are there something you're interested in? Last week we asked about continuing education, so I've got that up there again if you're interested, so you can go ahead and start voting. Is there a case study that you'd like us to feature on a broadcast? Because we would love to be able to do that, be able to engage with you, talk about your challenge and provide a solution. Also, is there a design challenge that you haven't been encountering on a regular basis? Do you want to get our heads together and try to be able to solve that, or utilize our test facility to validate it? And last but not least, if you'd love to learn more about the Tremco Construction Products Group, we would definitely be able and willing to be able to support you on that. So thank you for submitting all your answers. Just to kind of share that with you, we've got a wide range of different responses here. So we will be following up with everybody. And as always, thank you for joining us on Tremco Live.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week.